Welcome to another episode of the I'm F.I.N.E podcast, where a couple of knuckle-dragging veterans unpack the world of mental health as unprofessionally and informally as possible. I am Eric Peterson.
And I'm Amanda Stosiek.
And today's anniversary episode is about ADHD. We're going to define it, discuss the different types and symptoms, medications and therapy options, and how we think it may or may not differ in the veteran community. And we are going to do so on this 2-year anniversary episode of the I'm F.I.N.E podcast with our guest, Brad's wife, Amanda Stosiek. So sit back and relax as we do our best to take you from being freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional to truly being fine about finally paying attention.
Welcome to the I'm F.I.N.E podcast with your freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional hosts, Eric Peterson and Brad Stosiek.
I love that you're nervous.
I am.
That your wife is here.
Yep.
Like you said, your palms were sweaty.
They are.
That's so sweet.
Adorable.
Thank you for being here, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, very much so. We really appreciate it. We've talked about having you on before. We have a fourth setup almost, and it would be good to have an episode with you and I and Amanda and Ashley.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And what I like is that because we all just genuinely get along, like I think we could easily do that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Do you feel more nervous, like just talking because your wife's here?
I don't know. No.
That's a yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You sure?
Do you remember how I was like really nervous on the very first episode?
Yeah,
2 years
man.
ago?
2 years ago today.
I feel exactly.
July 22nd.
I feel exactly the same way.
Really?
Yeah.
Because your wife's in front of you?
I think so.
Dude, that is sweet. That is love. Not only is this our second year, but it's also exactly not including just like as far as like just the podcast videos.
Yep.
This is our 50th episode as well. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember Jake said in the very beginning, like if we made it past 10, he'd be pretty. He's like, if you guys make it past 10, you guys are doing pretty good.
Yeah. He
And
said
here we fucking are.
Look at us.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is pretty cool.
And it's greatly due to all of our sponsors.
Yes.
To all of our listeners, to all of our guests. Like, that's why we've been able to keep doing this.
Absolutely.
And also, I genuinely look forward to doing this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you say it too.
I do.
When I go to pick you up, like whenever it's a day to record,
Yeah.
like we're both usually like we're in a good mood because we enjoy it. We actually have fun doing it, fun talking about it, looking all this shit up, learning shit. Like it's a lot of fun. I'm really thankful that we get to do this, man.
Yeah. Me too.
Especially today because we get to have Amanda on.
Woo.
So I brought up the idea for ADHD, and then you hit me up and you were like, I think I have a guest. And I said, well, our schedule's kind of crazy. You know that. As long as you think they can work with it, I'm down. And you're like, and I said, who is it? And you were like, Amanda. I was like, you should have started with that and told me that. So I didn't know that you were diagnosed with ADHD, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty recent. So I didn't really know I struggled with that either for a while.
So can you give me a little bit of the context as far as like where you came from, what you do, and then we'll get into the ADHD stuff.
So who I am, what I do.
I know. When you get put on the spot, sometimes you're like, what? What do I do? I'm a dad. I raise children. I pay taxes. You know what I mean? I do things. I'm an adult. Yeah, like where were you born and raised?
Mantino.
Nice.
I was born in Peterson, but I moved here kindergarten. So I've been here ever since, minus a short time in Japan and Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to school while I was in Japan to get my educator's degree. And I soon found out after that I don't fit in the classroom.
Yeah.
And so, but I found my way into an education program called TRIO. You've probably heard of them before if you listen regularly.
A couple of times.
So it's an education program for adults. So I like that I get to be in the education community, but not in the classroom.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's also cool that you started doing that. You said you went back to school when you were in Japan.
Yeah.
And that was when Brad was stationed in Japan. You guys were together.
Yeah.
So while that was happening, while he was doing that, you also took that as an opportunity to start doing some things for yourself too.
Yep.
It's very cool. Very awesome. And
Yeah.
so you were diagnosed with ADHD recently. Like how recent?
Couple months.
So was it a surprise? Was it a shock? Were you like, you started to see the signs? Like, how did you deal with it?
So, I mean, looking back, I don't remember in my childhood experiencing most of the symptoms. But I honestly, social media is a weird thing.
Yeah.
And I hate when like people become doctors because of what they heard on TikTok. But,
Oh my God. Yeah.
And it just like, it generates things in a really weird way. And I
Yeah.
kept like coming across like mental health content, like ADHD content specifically. And I was like, that sounds a lot like me.
Right. Yeah.
And so I did my own like research, of course, and then I was like, this kind of sounds right. And then like I started to see how it affected my family and Brad, and really it impacts like literally every part of my life in some way.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just maybe deal with this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, good on you. You did the
Yeah.
adult thing. You realized that there may be an issue, and then you did something about it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And also, it's weird because, like you were talking about with the whole social media thing, and everybody's so quick. Not only are, I feel like so many people quick to diagnose, but there's almost, and we talked about it before, there's almost like this like coolness about having a thing.
It's like
You're
glamorized.
I have OCD. I'm sorry. I'm like, calm down, Janet. Fucking, you don't have OCD.
You just
all
like
right?
being organized.
You just like to be stuff to be sort of clean. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, there's almost this, I don't know, this thing about like having some sort of issue, but also how many times have you been scrolling through social media? And yeah, I have lots of mental health content on my feed. You know what I mean? When I look at that stuff and you're just like, like it feels like they're talking about you. You're like, okay, maybe I should do something. You
I don't
what
know.
mean?
No, I don't. My
Nope.
feed's about monkeys. I got a bunch of
Your
monkeys.
What I would love, I was just thinking about this because I feel like your feed is a way into your subconscious, right? Because if you go to your feed, whatever you like, it's going to show you more stuff of, so you get to kind of see a little bit more insight into your head.
Yep.
And so you look at like mine, okay, I got a lot of mental health stuff in there, a lot of veteran stuff, a lot of funny stuff, some really dramatic tear-jerking stuff. And like yours is like 100% monkey videos, like just nothing else.
It's that or like old Jerry Springer episodes. I'm like, why is this? I mean, it's okay to watch sometimes. I
Everybody
guess.
likes little old Jerry. Every once in a while you watch a clip of that and you're like, that was a show on TV. Like that's something that our kids are going to come across and be like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. No, I understand. So when you learned about it, to get a piece of that information, I feel like it's kind of life-changing in a way because, okay, you already knew that. Did you know it was impacting you before, or did you start to realize it more after?
I noticed that some of the symptoms were affecting my life, but I didn't necessarily be like, oh, this could be
Right.
ADHD.
Yeah. And then as you're going back, and granted, you haven't had a lot of time to process this, and because a lot of the things that we looked up for this episode strictly pertain to adult ADHD. But I think one of the studies I read, but I don't know if I kept the quote or the source in here, was like 1 out of 3 kids that have ADHD still have it when they become adults. You know what I mean? So when you look back now, are you starting to see any things that might have been any indicators or no?
Aside from the disorganization, I can't remember much going back to that. Like my room was always a mess. My desk would always get a mess. My locker was a mess.
But how much of that is also
But that's
normal to a degree also, so that's hard to differentiate between those two things. So before I get into anything else with this episode, I just want to list some of the sources. So the sources for this episode: the Center for Disease Control, the National Institute of Mental Health, Mayo Clinic, the American Psychological Association, ADD.org, and CHADD, CHADD.org. So as far as the actual definition of ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, it is marked by an ongoing pattern of inattention or hyperactivity/impulsivity that interferes with functioning or development. ADHD is one of the most common neurodevelopmental disorders of childhood. Neurodevelopmental means having to do with the way that the brain grows and it develops. ADHD is usually first diagnosed in childhood and often lasts into adulthood. Children with ADHD have trouble paying attention, controlling impulsive behaviors, and they might be overly active. And there are 3 different types. I didn't realize this. There are 3 different types of ADD. It's broken up into the different ways that ADHD presents itself, depending on the types of symptoms that are the strongest in the individual at the time of diagnosis. And those 3 are inattentive, hyperactive, impulsive, and then combined. So inattentive is predominantly an inattentive presentation, not really a presentation, not paying attention, things like that. Hyperactive, impulsive, predominantly hyperactive and impulsive presentations, and then combined is just a little bit of both. One of the questions that I was going to ask that we started addressing already is, do you think, so ADHD and ADD, like I was introduced to ADD first. I think everybody was introduced to ADD first, right?
I believe so.
Do you think it's discussed enough? Do you think it's discussed too much? Do you think people are self-diagnosing too much? Like, what do you think? Because it helped you. Social media and things about ADHD helped you actually figure some things out, which is like the most pro way, I feel like, of social media, like such a pro thing for social media.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think?
I think it's a healthy mix of all of it.
Yeah.
I think there's people diagnosing, but like you said, Amanda, you found it to help you. But there's also those people that, like you said, I do this and I have OCD.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
sorry, I have ADD.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a healthy blend of all 3 of them.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest pro about like social media and ADHD or any other mental health thing is that like it's getting people to talk about it. And I think initially that's always a good thing. Like, I think that the pendulum swings both ways, and sometimes we end up beating it to death. And then we start ending up with all these people who start glamorizing it and all this other kind of bullshit. But yeah, I was just kind of curious about that. So let's talk about some of the symptoms. So symptoms for ADD. In adults, the main features of ADHD may include difficulty paying attention, impulsiveness, and restlessness. Symptoms can range from mild to severe. Many adults with ADHD are not aware that they have it. They just know that everyday tasks can be a challenge. Adults with ADHD may find it difficult to focus and prioritize, leading to missed deadlines, forgotten meetings, or social plans. The inability to control impulses can range from impatience waiting in line or driving in traffic to mood swings and outbursts of anger. So before I get to the rest of the symptoms, I feel like a lot of this is also just like life shit. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Impatience waiting in line, pissed off driving in traffic, like things like that are scary to me because it's like that's something that I feel. It's something I think a lot of people feel. I don't know. You know what I mean? But it doesn't seem like it's super specific to like, oh, this is a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think the point where it becomes a problem is where it like affects your everyday life.
Definitely.
Like, do you have this sometimes, or is it like affecting your life?
Like literally, like almost every day or something like that. But yeah. And that's like the definition pretty much of when you should get help with ADHD is like when you figure out that it's actually affecting your life. So that's a very good point. Some other symptoms of ADHD include impulsiveness, disorganization, and problems prioritizing, poor time management skills, problems focusing on a task, trouble multitasking, poor planning, excessive activity or restlessness, frequent mood swings, low frustration tolerance, problems following through and completing tasks, hot temper, and trouble coping with stress. I definitely have a problem focusing on a task specifically because I get sidetracked so easily and so fast. None of my tattoos are finished. Every time I start a tattoo, shout out to Sarah Jane, my amazing tattoo artist. Every time I start a new tattoo, I get an idea for another one. And it got to the point where Sarah, who's amazing, Sarah was just like, listen, you know, I'm your artist. Like, you pay me, I'm going to do what you ask. But like, can we finish one of them before we start another one? I'm like, yeah, I know you're right. Like, that's how I am with like everything. So I looked at a little bit more about the problems focusing specifically, because I was curious for my own sake. And I found that research suggests that there is a disruption in the dopamine pathway of the brain with ADHD. So dopamine, as we've talked about before, is an essential chemical messenger linked to motivation, pleasure, and attention regulation. So a dysfunction in a dopamine transmission may result in poor focus and low motivation. This is the case for tasks that are boring, repetitive, and not linked to an immediate outcome or a reward, which again, like, makes sense to me for, like, again, back to the tattoo thing. Like, a lot of the tattoos are going to take multiple sessions. That's going to take a long time to get done. I start one and then I think of, oh, cool, I'm going to get this other tattoo started. It's this new thing. It's like I get that reward of starting a new thing as opposed to staying with the thing that I started already. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So I definitely understood that, and I definitely deal with that a lot. So if any of the symptoms listed above continually disrupt your life, you should talk to a doctor about whether or not you might have ADHD. Different types of healthcare professionals may diagnose and supervise the treatment, and exactly like Amanda said, you should definitely seek a provider if it starts to affect your daily life. So out of those symptoms that I'd read.
Oh, can I jump in really quick?
Please, yes.
Just, it is important to address, because if you don't address it, it can lead to just like more bigger problems. The Journal of Attention Disorders said that untreated ADHD can lead to substance abuse, car accidents, eating disorders, and divorce. And I can definitely kind of see how, if I like don't continue, how those things could be in my future. And it also could take up to 13 years off your life.
That's a weird
which is
fact.
Crazy.
That's a weird fact.
That's a lot.
Definitely do it.
That's crazy, because isn't like a pack of cigarettes or each cigarette like 7 years?
I don't know.
Or something.
I know that there's a number associated. I just have no idea what it was.
That's right.
But I like scientists sometimes, because it's like there was a couple of scientists figuring this out, and they're like, "What about 14 years?" And they're like, nah, they're fine. 13 though, fucking dead. Jesus, 13 years. Well, yeah, anything like that. There's so many conditions across the board that if you don't address it and don't do something about it, it can ruin your fucking life. And we've read off side effects of so many different things when left unchecked, from like depression and anxiety and all those stuff. And it can like straight up kill you, which is so weird that that's a side effect, is it kills you. That's the most, literally the most extreme side effect that there is. So you're telling me it takes years off your life if you don't do something about it? Like, that's nuts. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I definitely can see why that would have such an effect on you if not doing anything about it. To watch it impact all of your relationships and how it makes you feel and how exhausting it has to make you feel every day, that your mind runs in this fucking direction all the time with all these things that are constantly happening. Like, yeah, I could definitely see that. Which one of those symptoms really strikes a chord with you, or do you think you really do the most?
Probably the lack of focus, the time management. I didn't realize this was ADHD connected, but like the irritability, like the road rage.
Yeah.
Like, you can probably test to that. Like, I can be pretty like quick to be irritable.
Which I love that thought, just because I feel like I know you a little bit. You've always been so nice and considerate, like every time I've ever seen you. So to just think of you behind the wheel of a vehicle, just like, what, fuck you, just like getting, you know what I mean? I'm just like,
We don't know me till you've been in the car with me.
You want me to record it next time?
oh my God. Yeah. I can see that too. And was the road rage thing like often? I mean, also,
Yes.
though,
Yeah.
we also live in the state of Illinois where 57 has never not been under construction. So I also kind of feel like that comes with the
That's true.
territory, you know, but
Yeah. And then just like general executive dysfunction. So like my memory, I feel like is affected by it. Just being forgetful.
yep.
Just like doing little tasks feel
Yeah.
like a chore.
Right.
Like, so brushing my teeth or getting up to do the dishes, which they're not big things, but
Right.
they feel that way sometimes.
Yeah. And clearly with the amount of people and adults that have been diagnosed with ADHD, like it's a common problem. Brad.
Yep.
Bradley. What about you?
I don't know.
None of them.
I guess sometimes.
Which ones like affect you the most?
Yeah.
Of mine.
Of
That's a
yours?
good question.
I think what affected me the most was not understanding what ADHD really was. Because I feel like we didn't really have that conversation or discussion. So the things that you would do would upset me because I'd be like, okay, well, you're doing one task, but then you started another task and then you started another task. I'm like, okay, well, why aren't you finishing anything? You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand why you were doing the things you were doing. And I think that is the hardest part.
Yeah.
For
For a
me.
long time, I didn't have like a way to like explain or put words to why I just,
We didn't know.
that's just what I do. Like, I don't know. That's how I am.
And some of the other things too, like with your irritability and stuff, I would get upset. Like, why are you getting so upset about, you know what I mean? And just other things.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, the lack of understanding and communication because of that lack of understanding leads to fucking issues.
Yeah.
Like it leads to that miscommunication. And like you just said, like you didn't know that she was acting away because of these things. So if you didn't know that, then where does your mind go? Is she doing this because she doesn't care? Is she doing this because she's mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Your brain can go off in so many different directions, but when you at least understand why you're not necessarily condoning the behavior, if you understand why somebody's acting the way that they're acting, at least you know that, okay, this isn't personal.
Yep.
This isn't personal against me. And because I love this person, I can now, because I know it's not personal, I can focus more on caring for my partner or my friend who's dealing with a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's super important to be able to understand, oh, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? Like for me in PTSD and for Ashley, understanding why I act the way that I act sometimes, like it's super important to get that conversation started for sure. Do you feel like any of those symptoms, like you deal with yourself?
Forgot what they were.
Impulsiveness, disorganization.
Yeah.
I think bad memory. So maybe that one.
Yeah. Bad memory.
Poor time management skills, problems focusing on a task, trouble multitasking, excessive activity or restlessness, poor planning,
Yeah.
frequent mood swings.
Poor planning, disorganization.
Poor planning, I'll give you.
Yeah.
Only because of the Appalachian trip.
Dude, that's every aspect of my life.
It's going to happen. You're
it's
going to
gonna.
do it.
I'm
There's
gonna do
too
it.
many motivated people around you
Yep.
that are just like, no, motherfucker.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to do it now.
I know.
But
this
like,
just came up in our discussion that
Yeah.
we met on Saturday, and I don't think he's going to do it.
I think he will. I definitely think
We
he's
don't
going
think
to
he
do it.
should.
What? Why? You guys don't believe in me? You don't have faith in me?
That's
We'll
not
be
it.
with you.
Jared's going to go with me, and Eric will be there a little
We
bit.
just can't pull like a
Okay.
grizzly man thing. Like you just can't start assuming that like nature's just gonna accept you
no.
like grizzly man.
No, dude.
You know what I mean? Because they fucking killed that dude. Those bears killed that dude. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
I kind of ruined it for you. But listen,
That's
here's the thing with the poor planning is like you were like, I'm gonna hike the Appalachian Trail. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Okay. And then I would ask you some questions. I'm like, all right, man, did you like plan out like, you know, how many days you're gonna be out there, where the drop off points are gonna be, like resupplying. And you were like, nah, man. You're like, I'll get out there.
I was like, I
Start walking.
bought a tent. All right, so my original My original plan was to walk Route 66, like across the country with like a cart and like
Terrible idea.
just keep running and running. And
Yeah.
man was like, "You're an idiot," and I was like, "No, I could do this. I'll just."
No, because you're too nice and friendly of a person, and that's why you shouldn't. We talked about what happened to the hitchhiking robot on this fucking podcast, right?
We did.
Are you familiar with the hitchhiking robot?
No.
There was a hitchhiking robot. I'm not obvious. I'm just pulling this from memory. He hiked across multiple countries in Europe, okay? Because it's Europe.
Is this like for science or is this
I think it was just like yes, all this is a real thing that happened. These scientists, whoever they built this robot to hitchhike, and that was pretty much it. This wasn't super long ago. It was within the past decade. And they tested it in England or in the somewhere in Europe. It walks across multiple countries. And then I think it did some of Canada. And then they brought it to the East Coast. They dropped it off in like New York City. Fucking made it like 30 miles. Like it made it 30. I don't know if it's exactly 30 miles. It did not make it very far. It made it like an hour and a half Uber ride into the country before it was literally found in an alley with its head removed. And I'm just like, yeah, bro, welcome to America. Like hitchhiking friendly robots? Nope. Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. So yeah, dude, that's why I was like, when you were talking to me about hitchhiking across the country, I'm like, man, I don't know.
I didn't say I was going to hitchhike. I said I was going to push a cart.
Okay, maybe that's better. You know, Zach hitchhiked. Good friend of mine,
Yeah.
Zach hitchhiked from here to Albuquerque. But he looks like the type of dude where you're like, I'm definitely not picking him up. You know what I mean? So he would be safe because nobody would be fucking with him. And he had like a giant machete with him.
What do I look like?
You look nice and approachable.
Come here, puppy boy.
No, I would be like, that looks like a cool dude. You know what I mean? But that could lead you into a lot of weird situations as you're walking across this great nation. That's all I'm saying.
Man.
So I think you should do the trail, Appalachian Trail.
All right, well, I'll camp in my backyard first. I'll start there.
Camp like for a couple hours. And then you're like, I got this shit.
And then I'll
Do
go.
this. Yeah.
I'll just pick a spot. So you guys can just drop me off somewhere and I'll figure it out.
No, I honestly, as long as we just map it out a little bit,
Yeah.
I really think it will break it down into smaller pieces, which is actually one of the tips and tricks on dealing with ADHD symptoms, such as poor planning, bringing it back. But I still think it's doable. But yeah, so I understand. So the poor planning thing for you,
Yeah.
does it extend outside of the Appalachian trip? Are you a poor planning type of dude, or no?
Yes. I'm hey, let's just go with the flow, and that sounds cool. Like, I'm like, hey, let's get in the car and just go somewhere.
So
Amanda's like, that's dumb.
I feel like that's most dads. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm the same way.
Yeah?
Yes, which is why Ashley is like super fucking organized because we balance each other out.
Yeah.
Because I'm just kind of also like a chaos.
Well, it just sucks. If I want to do that, I can't do that if Amanda's at home. I'm like, come on, kids, let's go sit in the car.
You just sit there, you just hang out.
I sit in the driver's side, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just drive super slow. We talked about it before.
No.
You just got to get a longer
I don't like sticks.
stick. Yep. So, in general, also, some other things that ADHD can lead to. It can lead to a lot of other challenges. Amanda mentioned some of them earlier, some super drastic ones. Some other ones, hyperfocusing or hyperfixating on an unimportant task for too long. Got to stop on that one. Holy shit. Do the fuck out of that one for sure. Like, especially, I think it's a way for me to procrastinate. Because, like, if I have a bunch of stuff to do, I will, and I'm like, I get fixated on this super dumb thing that does not matter at all. Like, I'm just like, I wonder how many movies Dwayne The Rock Johnson has been in. And I just start looking up that shit when I'm supposed to be doing all this other important stuff. And like, I will really go down rabbit holes, I think. So I read that one, the first bullet point. I was like, fuck. Yeah, I understand that one. Some other things that can, some other challenges ADHD can lead to: trouble organizing work materials and documents, being easily distracted by unrelated thoughts, avoiding tasks that require sustained focus, struggling to follow through on instructions, failing to pay close attention to details, getting sidetracked in conversations, difficulty maintaining focus on a task, and making careless mistakes. So again, like, to have ADHD untreated, it seems like it would make it really fucking hard to hold a job.
Yeah.
Like, that was the first thing I thought of reading this. Like, holy shit, that would be really difficult to do. And how long have you been with Trio?
The program I'm with right now, I've been for a year, almost a year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a couple years in other Trio programs before that.
Oh, nice. Okay. Did you notice any of these things bleeding into your work life, or was most of this just in your personal life?
All of those.
Yeah.
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 Another thing that I don't think was on the list is like difficulty following verbal instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Like keeping track of, if you tell me more than like one step, like I get lost.
Yeah. I can understand that too. Yeah. You got to break. So like, it's too much to focus on if somebody lists multiple things to do.
Yeah. Or even if it's not even like things for me to do, just like listening to people talk to me. Like I can't focus sometimes on them.
Yeah. I understand that too. It doesn't help if they're boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it's at work or something like that, sometimes it's really easy to kind of, for me to just,
or if there's like anything else distracting about them, like their face, their clothes, like if there's anything else in my like visual field that like is more interesting than what they're saying.
I think Austin Powers demonstrated that super well. In one of the Austin Powers where the dude had like a big mole on his face. And Austin Powers kept addressing that, and he couldn't fucking talk to him because he kept addressing that. Yeah, I understand. Causes. So, Brad, what did you find for some of the causes for ADHD?
The exact cause of ADHD is unknown at this time. However, some factors that may be involved in the development of ADHD include genetics, your environment, and problems during development.
Yeah, so they're not really sure, but it would make sense that these things would contribute to it because that's kind of what determines like pretty much everything about you, right? So your genetics, your families, the environment, everything that you were around as a kid, and then problems during development. I would understand. Yep. I would understand how that would all be a problem, or could be a potential cause at least. Some risk factors. So some risks of ADHD. All of these risks that I'm going to read may increase if you have blood relatives, such as parents or siblings with ADHD or another mental health disorder, again, in line with that genetics thing. If your mother smoked, drank alcohol, or used drugs during pregnancy. As a child, you were exposed to environmental toxins, such as lead, found mainly in paint pipes in older buildings, or if you were born prematurely. So if you had any of those things, you might be at a higher risk for having ADHD. Research does not support the popularly held views that ADHD is caused by eating too much sugar or watching too much television. That was what I always heard a lot, girl. I feel like I heard that quite a bit when I was a kid. Like if you had too much sugar, you were going to just start bouncing off the walls, which is partially true, but like develop ADD or ADHD or watching too much TV. I remember hearing that as a child. So that's definitely not true. Of course, many things, including stressful life events, might make symptoms worse, especially in certain people, but the evidence is not strong enough to conclude that they are any main causes of ADHD when it comes to like watching too much television or having too much sugar. But ADHD has been linked to poor school or work performance, unemployment, financial problems, trouble with the law, alcohol or other substance misuse, frequent car accidents or other accidents, unstable relationships, poor self-image, poor physical and mental health, suicide attempts. So again, in the vein of some of the things that Amanda read off earlier, pretty much some of the worst shit. Some of the worst shit. If you don't like that's linked to ADHD, which again, being something that I've heard so much of, I was completely blown away by like the severity of it. Because when I first came into this, I didn't know enough about ADD or ADHD. I just assumed that if you had ADHD, you were just super hyper. Mm-hmm. That's honestly what I thought.
I also thought that
was. Yeah. And I didn't know that it would cause any problems.
Yeah. I think that's why as children, boys get diagnosed at higher rates is because theirs tends to be present physically. So you see them like not being able to keep still, doing all those things. But in girls, it tends to be more in their mind. So it's not as obvious.
So they don't get diagnosed as often because of that, because of how it presents.
Yeah. So now like adult women get diagnosed at like crazy high rates.
No shit. Because of that.
Yeah.
Because it was undiagnosed for so long. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Brad, ADHD, when it comes to veterans, what did you find out? How are those related in any way? Because I was curious about that.
I did. So a study done that was published in the Medical Care, the age-adjusted prevalence of ADHD among veterans receiving care at the VA hospital and clinics increased from 0.23% to 0.84% between 2009 and 2016. So that was a 258% increase.
Wait, what were those numbers again? From what to what?
0.23.
0.23.
To 0.84.
To 0.84.
Between 2009 and 2016.
And that's how much of a percentage an increase?
258%.
Dude, I'm not that kind of Asian. I don't understand numbers. I don't understand numbers at all. That seems ridiculous. That's high.
I wonder if it's attributed to anything beyond just like people being more aware.
But wait, there's
more. Or like what else?
That's right. So it also, before I get to that, it says, so the numbers, it said diagnosed with ADHD, the VA that when they diagnosed ADHD also increased during that same time, from 6,500 in 2009 to 30,000 in 2016.
6,500 in 2009.
6,500 in 2009.
To 30,000.
To 30,000.
Little bit of a jump.
But here's the reason why they think. So the VA study found, so this is also just from a Google search, the VA study found that the rate of ADHD diagnoses among veterans has increased significantly over the past decade. And factors that contribute to that, changing diagnostic criteria, changes in the VA patient population, symptoms. So, for example, PTSD and traumatic brain injuries, lack of policies. So the VA has no established policy or clinical practice guidance for ADHD, assessment, diagnoses, and treatment. There's childhood trauma, and then childhood trauma is the last one. So those factors are contributing now to the increase.
I wonder if that's it, though, or if there's things like technology or certain environmental factors that, because like cancer, for example, in young people, cases are rising. So I wonder if there's anything else in addition to those things.
Yeah.
I'm sure, because it's like, I don't know. When I read the things that ADHD is linked to that I read earlier, like the trouble with the law, alcohol, substance use, all this other stuff, like I see like a lot of reckless type behaviors that I do see in the veteran population. I don't know. And I link that stuff again to the shift in identity as far as like who you are and what your role is in your community. Because it's like, here I'm a father. I work at a Veterans Assistance Commission. I work with a nonprofit. Like, these are the things that I do every day. But overseas, I felt like I felt like the situation was more serious, more dire. And I felt like I had a bigger purpose, like not better, but I felt like what I was doing was more impactful, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think, and then searching for that, like we've talked about, when you get home and not being able to find that leads you to live recklessly, leads you to do some of these things that are like, could deal with ADHD, could be like confused for ADHD symptoms, or might be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I could see that.
I don't know, but also some of the stuff that we were subjected to probably is going to cause us issues. I just assume that like we were, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because it's like you had the Korean War vets and Vietnam guys, like white phosphorus, napalm, all this other stuff that they were subjected to, the Camp Lejeune water, which is insane.
That's
ridiculous.
I was never there.
You were never there?
No, I never went to Camp Lejeune.
That's good. But yeah, so what you were listing, as far as what you found, like, it's easy to see how ADHD could be misdiagnosed.
Sure.
if you were a veteran that's dealing with PTSD or something like that. Because like when I read through a lot of those symptoms, there were some of them that I felt strongly that I do exhibit, but then there were a lot of them where I was like, no, I know that I don't do that. But the ones that I do are linked to, I think, aspects of my PTSD.
Yeah.
So I can see how they get misdiagnosed because they have some of the same shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That makes it really hard to figure out what your issue is if you don't talk to a clinician about it.
Yeah.
That's something my doctor talked about.
What's
Like,
that?
how a lot of the symptoms are overlapping or similar to other mental health conditions like anxiety, depression. So like when I first, I did like this online thing to get diagnosed, and then I brought that to my primary doctor and she kind of evaluated again. But she had said, based on like all of your like exams, like I could diagnose you for ADHD, I could diagnose you for anxiety, I could diagnose you for depression. But she went with this because this seemed to be affecting my life the most out of all the three, and then kind of treat it and see how these symptoms like resolve, and then kind of go from there to tackle like one thing at a time.
I like that.
So, yeah.
I also like that she gave you options. You're just like, ooh, which one of these do I get to pick first? I'll choose you. Like, geez. Like, oh, man, getting older, it's fucking hard. So I looked a little bit further and I saw that, it's pretty common, and there are a lot of challenges in diagnosis for ADHD, especially with adults. Almost everyone has some symptoms similar to ADHD at some point in their lives. Again, it's like if you have a headache and you have an upset stomach and then you Google it, you got cancer, man. You're going to fucking die. Like, how do you, like, some of these symptoms for ADHD, you're like, shit, I do that. I mean, some of them I feel like are common and or commonly attributed to other things too, not necessarily just ADHD. If your difficulties are recent or occur only occasionally in the past, you might not have ADHD. ADHD is diagnosed only when symptoms are severe enough to cause ongoing problems in more than one area of your life. These persistent and disruptive symptoms can be traced back to early childhood in some cases. Diagnosis of ADHD in adults can be difficult because certain ADHD symptoms are similar to those caused by other conditions, such as anxiety or mood disorders. And many adults with ADHD also have another mental health condition, such as depression or anxiety. Like us. Yay, look at us. I need way more in mental health. One mental health condition. It takes more than one for this body. Okay. I'm at least a 2 mental health condition type of dude. All right. I'm complex. I'm like an onion. I have like layers. So some treatment options. There are a lot of different treatment options for those with ADHD. There's medication, there's therapy. As a treatment of ADHD, it's been said that pills do not substitute for skills. This means that medication alone is not sufficient enough in many times to help a person improve his or her problems in areas such as organization, time management, prioritizing, and using cognitive aids. However, medication improves attention and reduces impulsivity in adults who have been correctly diagnosed with ADHD. There's 2 types of medications. There's non-stimulants. So these have been used in people who have the incomplete response or no response to stimulants and cannot tolerate stimulants or have certain coexisting psychiatric conditions. An example of that is Strattera. And the other type, and this was according to one of those sources, is called psychostimulants, which is the worst fucking name, I feel like, for a medication. Like, what do you want? I want the psychostimulants. Like, what the fuck? I feel like you could call it something else. That's amphetamines and methylphenidate. So like Adderall. So Adderall was one that I'm familiar with. You know what I mean? So you have the stimulants and you have the non-stimulants. Adults with ADHD can benefit by identifying the areas of their life that are most impaired by their ADHD and then seek treatment to address them. They may benefit from treatment strategies similar to those used to treat ADHD in children, particularly medication and learning to structure their environment. Medications effective for childhood ADHD continue to be helpful for adults who also have ADHD. Various behavioral management techniques can also be useful. Some adults have found that working with a coach, either formally or informally, to be helpful in addition to their ADHD treatment plans. If you have if you'd like more information on that, you can check out chadd.org. That's where I found that, and they have some coaching options for adults with ADHD. In addition, mental health counseling can offer much needed support to adults dealing with ADHD in themselves or someone they care about. Since ADHD affects the entire family, receiving services from ADHD trained therapists skilled in cognitive behavioral therapy can help an adult with ADHD learn new techniques to manage living with it. Did you find any of those to be helpful for you specifically?
So I did start taking medication, the Strattera option.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree when you said it mostly affects or helps like attention.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that, but in all of the other things, I haven't seen much change.
Yeah.
I literally the other day went to Burkhart's for tortilla shells and came back with other things, but not the tortilla shells.
Right.
Like,
God, I've done that. Yeah. But it has started. How long after you started taking it did you start to feel like it was helping? Because I know some of these medications, it takes like weeks or months.
yeah. So I started out on like the really small dose, 3 weeks is how long she said it would start to like kick in. Didn't notice anything then. So then I increased the dosage and that was a week or so.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So you're still like kind of learning right now, like as these things are starting to really affect you and start to change things. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you think are the best tips, tricks, or advice for dealing with ADHD?
Unfortunately, I'm pretty early on this journey.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have a ton.
Yeah.
I did see a coach one time and she told me things like set a timer for 5 minutes to improve your like focus. 5 minutes, do it for that long because it's not that long, and then take a break. And then when you're ready, set another timer.
Mm-hmm.
But something that I struggle with is like remembering, but also like forming habits.
Yeah.
And so these things that she would tell me to do, I didn't do them.
Right.
Because like I can't make another appointment.
Right.
Like,
and it's to form a habit, you have to do it for, I forget how long they say it takes to form a habit, like 3 weeks every day.
I think it's 27 days.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's dedication. And that is difficult to do, which is why so many people have hard times changing their current habits or forming new habits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that definitely is a challenge for sure. Well, I'm going to list some and you tell me which sound the best then. Because I found a bunch. So some practical tips and advice for dealing with ADHD. 1, make overwhelming tasks less daunting by breaking them down into smaller, more manageable tasks. I think that's just a good rule, period, like in life. Like take big things that you're working on, break them into smaller, easier, like more accomplishable tasks, because then like you stack them up relatively quickly and you feel better and you get momentum as you're going through these things as opposed to staring at this giant mountain in front of you. You know what I mean? I like that one.
I think it sounds like a good idea, and I wish I could think in that way, but like the lack of like dopamine for the small tasks, like I know that I've had the past 2 weeks to do this like homework assignment. I do this every semester.
Yep.
But I will wait until 2 days before it's due, and then it's like I stress myself out. I don't enjoy the process, but like I will get it done.
Right.
It's like when I'm up super late the night before doing everything for the kid's birthday party. Like, could I have done all these things in the last 3 days? Yeah, but for whatever reason, like, I don't know.
Weird question. Do you enjoy that little bit of chaos the night before when you're like doing all of these things? Or do you not like that?
I don't like that, but I think what I like is how I feel after I accomplish that. Like, hey, I just stayed up so late to do this for my kid for their birthday party.
Right.
Or like, I just finished this final assignment. Like, go me. Like,
and it was a lot of effort, a lot of energy. It's something that, like you said, you should have done days ago and broke it up into like things. But because you were able to do it in that moment, that's also impressive because you're like, I still got it done. I was notorious. You could ask Ashley this. For any big assignment I ever had, you would know that I would be doing it, starting it the day before it was due. Like every time. Like I could not, but I didn't mind that piece. I think I actually like, and I could be lying to myself, I do think I like working under pressure.
Maybe that's it.
I know that I don't mind working. It's not like I love it, but I don't mind. I think pressure makes me work better. Like I think I can put together better things, better products, better whatever, better papers when I'm under a little bit of pressure. Because if I'm just sitting here, just like kind of perusing through it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on my paper for an hour. Again, I'm going to fucking get sidetracked and think about other stuff because I don't care that much because it's not a huge priority because I'm not under any pressure. But I apply a little bit of pressure and now I'm like hyper focused into this task that I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I get that. Next one, giving yourself, and this is one thing that you mentioned, giving yourself time to rest and recharge. That can improve focus and decrease exhaustion, physical symptoms such as headaches and eye strain. Some great ways to take a purposeful break include the following: listening to your favorite music or podcast, like ours, taking a quick stroll around the block, carrying out some breathing exercises, doing simple and light stretches, getting a drink or a snack. Like taking a little break throughout the day, just a little break, I think is really important. I think it's productive a lot. Whenever I've been in an office setting and like every once in a while, and obviously this can be done to excess and then it becomes counterproductive, but like, sometimes you got to get up and just walk around, talk to somebody, have a conversation that's not work related to feel like a human being. And then you're like, okay, now I can get back to it again. You know what I mean? This one I didn't think about, but I do like this one. The number 3, create a thought dump. So keep a notepad. What are you giggling about?
The word dump.
I knew that's where your mind went. That's also where my mind
just the word dump.
Yeah. It's like, that's gross. Why would I do that? Yeah. How's that help? You can keep a notepad close to you as you work. If an unrelated thought pops up, write it down on the notepad. Then revisit this list at the end of the day or after finishing your task. If you suddenly recall an important chore or errand to run, writing it down helps you acknowledge the thought without getting distracted from your work. At the same time, it ensures you to remember to do it. I want to do this because I think my list would be so weird. Like the shit that randomly pops into my head
salami
during the day. Different types of salami. How to make garlic salami.
Ooh.
Carl Weathers. What movies was Carl Weathers in? Rocky. He was in Rocky 1 and 2. Who was in Rocky 3? Ice-T. What other movies was Ice-T in? Like, that's the shit that would be on my paper.
Ooh, Ice-T, I'm thirsty.
You know what I mean?
My safari history in, like, the wee hours of morning and night are probably, like, so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I, like, randomly, like, my mind doesn't ever stop. And, like, if I think of something, I have to, like, know it now.
Right.
Which maybe writing it down on paper would be healthier than like being at my phone, because then one thing leads to another. And
that's why I like that idea so much, because that, like, you're acknowledging it, you're getting it out there, but because you're acknowledging it and you know that you're going to read this list at the end of the day, I don't need to invest any more of my energy into this right now. I wrote it down. I'll get to it later. Back to the thing that I was working on. Like, I like that. That's one thing I would like to try. Next one's called body doubling. Another trick. What's that?
Love that.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Body doubling. COVID was rough for a lot of us.
Yeah, buddy. I body tripled.
Yeah. Another trick for concentrating with ADHD involves the productivity hack called body doubling. You'll have another person sit down with you, physically or virtually, while you both do your own things. Their calm presence can help deter hyperactivity linked to ADHD and provide motivation for you to stay focused. I don't know how I feel about that one. Like,
I noticed that, like, I learned about it, and then I noticed that when I have someone with me doing things, I'm way better about it. Like, if we are cleaning together, like, that makes it easier for me to do. Like, when we were repainting our bedroom, like, my mom came over, we worked all day on it. She left, I was done.
Yeah.
Like,
because why do you think that's because you feel like you have to keep up with them? Because that's where my mind would go. It's like, all right, I can't be the one slacking. Like, I gotta keep up with this person. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
But it helps.
But yeah.
That's pretty interesting, which would be why it's on this list. Next one, leveraging organizational tools. This is something that I'm working on. Smartphone reminders, sticky notes, calendars, bulletin boards, whiteboards, alarms, and to-do lists. I don't like to-do lists, though, because to-do lists give me anxiety.
Yeah.
Because it feels like chores.
I think I'm, like, time blind. Like, I see a long list, and I just see, like, things that are going to take forever, but they don't. They don't actually. And then so the list is overwhelming.
I was going to say, you just get overwhelmed and in this trance.
Don't do anything.
Staring at these things because you feel like it's going to be daunting when in actuality it doesn't. It's not. Yeah. I think that, I mean, I started using, like, I really like using whiteboards in my office. Whiteboards help me out a lot. I just like the writing on it. It's fun to write on with also
the markers.
Well, just seeing my thought immediately in front of me, like on a whiteboard, like it helps me. I feel like organize things sometimes.
What is time blind supposed to mean?
Damn.
I'm like always a little bit late.
No, I know.
Like something that I think will take a long time, like doesn't take a long time.
What do you mean?
Like
you procrastinate and that's why you're late?
Like, I don't know, like doing the dishes. If I had to like do all the dishes by hand, like in my mind, I'd be like, ugh, it's going to be like, I don't know, a half hour. Like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
But like realistically, it might take 10 minutes. And then like,
you start psyching yourself out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. I definitely do that with some things. I can see that. And that was also a good way to segue away from the time blind joke, which I appreciated. The next one, fidgeting. I thought fidgeting was bullshit. I didn't think it was like a real thing that actually helped at all. And then I was like reading about why fidget, like there's science behind why fidgeting works, which would make sense why there's so many fidget things that exist. Like obviously it has to be based in something. It's just I read it on the surface. I'm like a 90-year-old man. I was like, I don't like new things. And I just didn't accept it as a thing. So fidgeting, science suggests that fidgeting helps those with ADHD boost their focus, functioning, and productivity. If you're in a meeting, lecture, or reading through long documents, fidgeting increases stimulation and keeps your brain better engaged. Of course, you have to find a method of fidgeting that does not distract you from the main task or disturb those around you. Some examples include doodling, knitting, chewing gum, playing with stretchy bands, using fidget toys. I used to doodle like a motherfucker, but I would pay attention. Doodling would help me. Like I'm listening and I'm taking in what you're saying, but I got to be doing something else while I'm also listening to you. I don't know. So I would doodle a lot. Do you guys fidget?
This was something I was like not really sure if I did when I was first like being asked, but like, so I've started to pay more attention. I've been like playing with my fingers. I've been like bouncing or tapping my foot this entire time. And like, I didn't know it was like a weird thing, but like neither of you were doing that. So
not right now.
Yeah.
But I do.
Like, I just didn't realize that was like not normal.
If I am there are a lot of times where I will be holding something and I'll have to like mess with it. Mm-hmm. Like I would always take, like whenever I have like those plastic cups or styrofoam cups, if I have a drink, I'll sit there and I'll just like pick it into little pieces and then like throw it away. Yeah. I would like do little fidgeting type things. Mm. So, I mean, I understand why it like keeps your brain kind of engaged. Mm-hmm. But then on the negative side, again, like it said in there, you have to find a method that doesn't distract you from the main task, right? So like Ashley gives me shit about this. Like we'll be laying in bed watching TV. Like she's going to sleep. So I turn on a show that I want to watch and then I turn on the show and then I get on my phone. And then sometimes I'm on my phone watching a video while the TV's going on, which is just a weird thing if you think about it. Like, I turn on that video so I can watch this video. Like, and Ash is like, why are you, like, pick a thing, pick one thing. Like, don't do both.
That bothers me when, like, he'll do that. I'm like, or there'll be music and TV. Like, can we just pick one?
Yeah.
Like, I can't listen. I can't listen to it.
Maybe it's a husband thing. It's probably a husband thing.
But I catch myself, like, doing that too. Like, I will sit on my phone. I can't just sit through the commercials. Like,
right.
So
like we used to do in the old days.
But right.
Our kids don't fucking understand.
No, they don't.
It's 4, 5. How many sneezes?
I don't know. It just happens, man.
That's like the minimum.
Happy anniversry. Fucking 2 years.
2 years. Woo.
So yeah, fidgeting. Yeah, I get that. And Ashley fidgets a bit too. And I always mess with her about that. So yeah, I understand. And when Ashley would fidget when I was talking to her, I would immediately get angry because in my mind, I'm like, you're not listening to me because you're focusing on this other thing. Mm-hmm. And then I understood that that's not necessarily the case, you know. Next one, number 7, making tasks into a game. Another way to make chores and tasks less of a drag is to turn them into mini games. And I actually do this, even though it sounds lame as shit. Like, I'll do it when it comes to folding the laundry, because the way that our nighttime routine goes, most of the time, Ashley gets the girls in the bath. And the second she does that, I get the laundry started. And we have 2 girls. So a day's worth of laundry is like roughly like 9 baskets, roughly. I'm not exaggerating. And so my whole thing in my head is like, I have to get this done before the girls are done getting like their pajamas on and stuff like that with their nighttime routine. And then I would like make a game out of it in my head, just like get it done fast. Right. But just like it gave me a motivation to try to get it done fast. And then I started thinking, and I think that there should be one day like a dad Olympics. And it would have, think about it, laundry folding. You got to take a car seat out of one car, put it in another car, getting ready to get the kids to go to the beach. Like all these different tasks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, helping a kid, like helping build a volcano or something like that.
Entertaining TV.
Who would have the greenest
I would watch
shoes?
That.
Yeah.
A dad Olympics? Yeah. What are some other just super dad things that you could watch a bunch of dads just compete at doing? Dad noises, the best dad noises.
Grunt. Yeah.
I make super good dad noises when I get out of chairs and stuff like that. That's a good dad noise.
Fake fart sounds.
Fake fart sounds. That would be, or real. It'd be 2. There'd be 2 different ones jokes? For that. Dad jokes, definitely.
Hang up a picture level.
Hey, it would be a shelf. It would have to be a shelf because then you could test it with a marble. Like you got to hang 2 shelves for your wife while she's, and like you're holding it up there and she's telling you like to move it just a little bit. And you got to not get pissed off. And then you got to mount it perfectly. Dude, this would be pretty good. I think we're on to something.
Who can like keep their cool the longest? Like having someone hold the flashlight. I said, hold it lower.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one. And the timer stops when you say fuck. When the dad says fuck.
No, when they take it over themselves. Give me it. I'll do it myself.
Or that. So, yeah, we could do a dad Olympics.
I'm in.
One day.
Yeah.
Maybe.
How long can you drive before you turn the car around?
Ooh,
bring them back home. Oh, shit. Sorry.
No.
What do you mean, no?
There'll be like a Paralympics of some sort.
A Paralympics?
Oh, wait, what?
She was apologizing to me because I clearly cannot participate in that event, Eric.
You could. You would just turn around immediately. Like, nah,
I'm not even leaving this driveway.
Yeah. How long you sit in a car before you have to say, we're turning this fucking car around. We're going home.
Yeah.
We're going home.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I use the threat. My father never threatened to tell my mother on me. Like that was never a threat that he used. My mom, however, used that threat on me where she would be like, I'm going to tell your dad. Here's the difference. It's 2024. I tell my daughters, I'm going to tell your mom when you get home if you don't straighten this shit out. And my kids, like Cece doesn't give a fuck, but Lily would be like, all right, like she'll snap to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, don't make me tell your mother. You know what I mean? Like how times have changed. You know what I mean? I can't have a softie. You know what I mean? Anyway, so making things into games, great idea. Stay tuned for the Dad Olympics 2025. Next one, optimizing your environment. So you can't control your brain's chemistry, but you can certainly have a say in determining your work surroundings. The following tips may help you optimize your environment for focusing on your work. Use noise-canceling headphones or find a quiet spot away from noise and distraction. Use an app blocker or mute unnecessary notifications if you need to use your phone. That's something that I think I should do. Use an app blocker.
Yeah.
That seems like a smart one. That'd be pretty easy for me to like try to adapt, but I like that one. Only keep the materials you need for that specific task on your desk. That's a good one because like my desk is like fucking sometimes just blah. It's like everything's on it. So yeah, I mean that makes sense because if you have a lot more things on your desk, then of course you're gonna like focus on other shit all the time. You know what I mean? Put your phones and devices out of reach when you work, which is super hard to do. Especially
it's really hard.
Like just depending on what your job is too. I mean, you might need to use your phone a lot, but that's tough. And then declutter your workspace from time to time. Some other things to do: prioritize your self-care, sleep habits, diet, daily physical activity, etc. Limiting the amount of daily screen time from TVs, computers, phones, and other electronics may help. Reducing distractions. Reducing distractions almost seems impossible, especially when you have children.
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys feel like you can reduce distractions in your life? And if so, how?
I live the simple life, man. I don't have many distractions.
Well, that's true. I mean really, it's real.
Yeah.
To not have those distractions around you for one.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense. I don't know. It's hard for me to limit my distractions. I mean, I understand putting the phone away.
Yeah.
But that's really hard for me to do.
Because then it's just like the worry that is on your phone is just in your mind now.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking about
right.
what you're missing.
Right. And then again, when I see a video or like anything like downtown New York, I get a little bit of anxiety just seeing all of the stimuli. You know what I mean? It's like a billion fucking billboards, cars whizzing around, people. Like, again, I feel like if you've seen Shawshank Redemption and Brooks, when he walks out of the grocery store, he's like an 85-year-old man and he just got out of prison. He's watching these cars just fly by on the street. And he's like, I don't feel like I belong here. Like, that's how I feel looking at like all of that stimuli, much less what I have. You know what I mean? But still reducing distractions for me, I don't know, really revolves around limiting my time on my phone. Because I don't really care about the TV that much. Like I'm a little bit of a sports dude, but I'm a Chicago fan. So we're always kind of like, next year. So I don't watch a lot on TV, but like that's the only thing that distracts me that I think distracts like most people. Your fucking phone and social media. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are any of these things that I just listed, any of those ways? Are any of those things something that you would do or try? Or that sounded like it would work? Or be worth trying, rather?
Yeah, I think a lot of them.
Yeah.
Decluttering space.
Yeah.
The once a year I clean my desk at work, like I feel the best at that time.
Right.
I don't know why I don't do it more.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritizing self-care, I think, is hard just because we are always busy. But
yeah,
a few weeks ago, I like committed to playing volleyball once a week at the Y because it's a league and it's a set time and there's people who like are relying on me to show up. I think that's the only reason I get there because like I've had the membership for a long time and I don't go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't do all those things. So I think having like the accountability is like maybe that will be good enough to help me like go however many times until you need to form a habit.
Well, how long have you been doing that?
Only like 4 weeks. No.
It's long enough to start becoming a habit. At that point, if you've dedicated yourself for that long, and it kind of works with that body doubling thing that you mentioned too.
Yeah.
And again, that's why, you know, the whole fitness industry and working with a trainer and stuff helps so many people. It's not that you can't get all the information. There's a lot of information and you can always learn more. And yes, the trainers definitely know the most, I think many of them do. But like really, I feel like myself and others that I've known that have utilized trainers did it for like accountability purposes. You know what I mean? And just knowing that I can't let these people down and it's something that you love doing. Like it checks a lot of boxes in a good way at the same time. So that's really cool that you get to do something like that. So, as far as available resources and support, there's a lot of organizations and support groups now that you can go to if you or somebody you know is dealing with ADHD. Some websites that I would recommend you check out. So chadd.org, aacap.org, and Attitude, ADDITUDE magazine are three of the ones that I found that came up the most. That if you go to those and check them out, they can list some of the other support groups and other organizations you could check out if you want to get more information. Other than that, when you found out that you had ADHD and that you were dealing with it and stuff, did you jump into reading about it? Was there anything that you really found to be helpful for guidance? Like, what would you recommend? Well, I'll start with that question. First. Yeah, you're good.
What was the question? Okay, maybe don't cut this out because this is exactly like you were asking me a long question.
Sorry, with multiple pieces.
Yeah.
I also forgot the question.
Oh boy.
It had to do with ADHD. This is ironic.
Yes.
When you found out, when you were diagnosed, did you jump into reading all about it?
For a bit, yeah.
Was there anything that you found that, like, was there any book, magazine, or were you just reading articles that you found?
I was mostly just trying to find information.
Yeah.
Yeah. No books.
So if there was someone listening and they weren't sure they had ADHD or not, but they were curious, like, what would you tell them to do?
There are some like online tests that you can take.
Mm-hmm.
My first like meeting formally with a doctor was online. Like I didn't have to call anyone to set it up. You just go online, you schedule the appointment, you get that. And then I did bring it like to my doctor in real life person.
Mm-hmm.
But just start online because I think part of, I don't know if it's ADHD or maybe anxiety, but like bringing myself to go to the doctor, make the appointment, like show up, speak what I have to say, like get it all out. Like it's a whole thing. So like you can use the internet to kind of like help build up to getting the help you need.
That makes sense because it's kind of taking one of those things, like breaking it down into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
And instead of just jumping right to it, like start doing little things that don't involve as much energy or as much effort. And then it gets you closer and closer to that point where, you know, it makes it easier to make the next jump. So that makes a lot of sense. I like that. Other than that, any other thoughts, hopes, dreams, anything else at all about ADHD? What do you got? Yeah, Brad. Come on, man. We got to do better. We're the 172nd best.
We are the
podcast in Cambodia. I emailed them back and asked if our number changed.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it?
They didn't email me back.
No. I don't know. I think just if you're on the supporting side, just be that support and make sure you understand what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important to understand is that if your partner is dealing with ADHD, or really like pretty much anything, just understand that it might not be a personal thing.
Yeah. It's
possible it's not a personal thing towards you and that person is dealing with something and they might not know it.
One of the symptoms that I don't think we talked about, but like it affects like your relationships is like interrupting. Like when you're talking, like I'm having a hard time focusing sometimes because I'm in my mind coming up with things that I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I have a response that I don't want to forget. So I like I say it right away and I've like caught myself. Like I feel like I do interrupt. Like
puts you in a tough position there,
which
Brad.
probably doesn't feel good to like always.
I mean, sometimes.
Also, like, I feel like that's a wife thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe.
I feel like all the women in my life interrupt me, dude. Like when I look at my sisters and my mom, they don't let me talk.
Right. Yeah, we're just doing it. We're just here.
Just
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like I do that at work too. It's like maybe you're like my person, so I'm like more comfortable around you. But even people that I shouldn't be as comfortable around, I do that too.
like you do interrupt them, or you think about
Yeah.
interrupting them, or both.
I either do interrupt them, or like my thoughts, I don't interrupt them, but I'm still having the thoughts in my head, so I'm like losing track of what they're saying.
One thing that I want to do and I want to start doing, and I've done it a couple of times, and I picked it up from being on somebody else's podcast, was again going back to that thought dump thing, like where I have a notepad next to me, and because I also like, I have traumatic brain injuries. I do have like the memory thing, you know what I mean? Either way. So it's like if I'm talking to you and you we're having a long conversation, you're bringing up a lot of great points, I like to have a little notepad where I can just jot something down, because like I want to address this later, and I really like what they said about this. I want to talk to them about this later. I know I'm not going to remember all of those things. So I like having, like, I've gotten better at having notepads available. I just don't use them very often. Like I have no shit.
It's hard to start habits.
yeah, it is.
So, like that would be something that I know is a good idea. It's obviously helpful, but like it would be hard to get in the habit of using lovely notebooks like those.
Yeah. These are all the notebooks I have next to my desk. So what I'm learning from this episode is I'm going to get tested for ADHD soon. Like as Amanda's been saying things, I'm just sitting there going like, yeah, I understand that. I do. I think I interrupt a bit. I think about interrupting a lot, because again, when you have something that you want to say and you feel like it's important, I know that if I don't say it, I'm going to forget it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I at least need to put it out there. So that's tough too. Yeah, that is pretty important. Other than that, anything else? Anything else you wanted to say about ADHD?
I'm good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Amanda, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. I appreciated being the third wheel for once. It was nice.
I know what it feels like.
I do know what it feels
This was
like.
serious. Seriously, I was so nervous. I don't even know why.
Yeah.
See what you do to me?
Because, Brad.
I'm all smoten or smitten or whatever.
Smitten.
'Smited.
2 years, my friend.
2 years, man. Look at us go.
Congrats.
Thank you. And thank you again to my wife, Ashley. She put a lot of balloons all over the floor in here, and also decorated the back behind me. Got us these sweet party hats if you're watching this on YouTube. And she got us a nice little cake.
It was delicious.
And it's insane that we made it 2 years. And I will never forget sitting at Copeland's with you talking about this idea.
Yes.
The first time.
Yes.
And because again, I cannot thank every single person out there who's listened enough, especially the ones who talk to us about it.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it really makes my day, and it catches me off guard because I'm in the middle of doing whatever I'm doing, and someone's like, "Hey, I listened to that episode of the podcast. You talk about this," and I want to just like stop everything I'm doing and hug that person and be like, "Thank you so much. It's very validating. I appreciate it. I know you appreciate it." So if you've ever listened, shared anything, thank you so much for this. Hopefully we'll get another 50 episodes going out of this. So if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, if you have a story that you would like to share or something that we didn't talk about in regards to ADHD, feel free to send it to us at our website, our Facebook page, the I'm F.I.N.E podcast, Project Headspace and Timing's Facebook page, or Project Headspace and Timing.org. And until next time, we hope that we helped you go from being freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional to truly being fine about finally paying attention. Happy anniversary, buddy.